What's up, and welcome back to the Scuffed Ass Podcast for episode 248, I guess, because we just recorded 7 minutes of 247 and have to restart now. This is episode 247. Wonder's glaring a hole in me. We talked about the election, and now we either are gonna redo that or just not. I don't know.
Well,
I wrote in Dean the dog.
Right. We're going to talk about the same thing, but we're not going to have the emotion that we had the first time because
100%.
we found out that we are very similar on who we thought did not deserve to be there.
At least for the local things that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are other areas where we disagreed mightily, and that's okay.
Right.
We're all allowed to.
Yep.
Will you
Yep.
put the dog outside? Jesus. He's barking because Kevin's home, so put him out. Let him attack.
Yeah. Go eat him.
Yeah, right? Jesus. But, so, yeah, we were talking about going to vote. I mentioned that everybody... So, I was in there at the same time as Cody, actually. He was in there when I walked in.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody was using the machine to vote. They were all doing written ballots.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. I can't do that because I knew I was writing in Dean the dog, and I needed to make sure they knew I wanted Dean the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because I wrote in Cody.
Nice.
And we figured out that we both did not want to, because, this person's running unopposed, and we both, did not like this person.
Even though he's gonna win because he's unopposed, it's just I couldn't live with myself if my vote went towards him, which is kind of the way 90% of what I voted for worked outside of the school board stuff.
I just like the fact that there's still people around that are willing to not vote for radicalism. Like, there's radicals on both sides, and this is a Republican radical, and I am more than willing to not vote for this guy.
I'm not gonna say his name, but I remember a bunch of people voted for him his first time through because he ran on the platform of caring about mental health and wanting to help deal with that. But then when he got in office, he voted against every mental health anything that came through because, and I quote, God told him to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dude,
So there's two people that I refused to vote for specifically, and we both agreed on it. Because he knew who I was talking to without having to tell him.
There was one more for the school board, but I can't remember his name.
So basically what I did is
four because the guy we talked about had little lackeys.
Yep.
That were basically the exact same.
Yeah, and they literally had a thing that's called the four. And it was like, okay, so I know the four I'm not voting for sure.
Yep.
But basically all I did is I hit up Cody because he works in the school system.
Right.
And knows, he's pretty well in depth on, this person would be good, this person would not be good,
And that's why I asked. Well, I talked to my mom, who had talked to my sister, because my sister is also a sub for all of the schools here. So she also works there and knows things. So it's like, these are the ones, they liked. And it's like, all right, cool. So and then I read about them and I was like, who do I think's the best of those ones? Because the other ones, I started by, in the paper, they talked specifically about the free lunches thing. I started by just reading that, and that allowed me to cross people off my list just based on how you answered that. Even the people who are like, I don't plan to get rid of the free lunches, but I feel like I need to make a correction here. It's like, you're a cunt. This isn't important.
Right.
We all know what it means. You're just stupid. Chill out.
Yeah, they're trying to work their way around the question without lying about it, basically.
Right. It's not really free. It's like, it is for the kids, and that's the important part.
Right.
You're going to pay your taxes either way. And it's a weird thing to complain about the tax thing for that one, because...
Right.
Yeah. There were a couple, the actual, issues that they had people voting on were interesting.
Like the tax stuff, or...
Yeah, and then the one, the property tax one where they
Yeah.
want to make residential different than industrial for property tax, which like doesn't sound bad in theory, but then it's like,
It's a ploy.
right,
That's
that
all
is
it is. All
that
it
is
is.
immediate. I like my brain immediately went to how it could be good because it's like, oh, that could lower taxes for families who own just their house and whatever, and you could raise it for the corporations. And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that is not what would happen though.
Yeah. But the
Not
problem
even.
is it's giving people power that don't need to fucking have power.
Yep. It's
And
like,
so I voted against it.
Yep. It's
I was
tough.
like, I seen right through all that bullshit. I was like, no, nobody needs to have more power than they already have when it comes to property tax.
The lodging tax was a quick and easy pass for me, like good thing for me. Literally everywhere does that. When you stay in a hotel somewhere, one of the fees you're paying is a local tax because that's what you do. That one's fair. The 1% tax on goods and services is a tough one because I think most things should be. And I know it doesn't tax food, but it kind of does. I stand by the idea that no form of food should be taxed.
Right.
Not just groceries. I don't think you should be taxed at McDonald's. I don't think you should be taxed at Cold Stone. I don't think you should be taxed anywhere where you're eating food. I don't care if it's good food or bad food. It's food. And I don't think you should. But it's also like, I think you should be taxed on all the other things. So what outweighs what here?
Yeah.
It's tough.
I don't like it. It's already implemented.
Right.
Like
so it's just like, all right, keep it. I don't know. Or get rid of it.
I voted to keep it because I actually specifically, because when I voted for it, I didn't vote for it for the first time.
Yeah.
But now that it's implemented and I've followed what it's actually gone to and what it's helped out with, and I'm like, it's fine.
You know what the answer still would be? Raise the tax on alcohol. Make like a countywide tax on alcohol. Doesn't have to be insane, but make one.
Yeah.
And then as a state, legalize weed, even if only medically, and tax the fuck out of it. Tax the fuck out of weed and alcohol, and you can pay for everything. Like, actually.
It's already here. You might as well.
Right. I was going to say, all you're going to do is stop putting people in jail that don't actually need to be there. Save room for the people who need to be in there. And I'm not saying that all drugs are okay, and I'm not even saying that, the guy with 400 pounds of weed is okay. I'm saying maybe you shouldn't be in jail because you smoked a joint at your house and didn't leave. Yeah. That's dumb.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Wasn't there one more?
No, those were the three issues. There was an election for the college, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then the school board, and then the other things were basically everyone was running unopposed.
Right.
And then your federal stuff. Which I think the internet knows both of us well enough to know who voted where.
Yep.
Probably. So I don't feel like that's I was going to say, check my Twitter. You'll know what I did just by what I repost.
Yeah. I mean, I find it funny that either side finds out, oh, you voted for this person? Oh, you voted for that person? Like, I'm just glad you voted, know? For me, I think it's very important that, you go out and you support, your beliefs.
Yep.
Whether you vote one way or the other. It doesn't matter. Me, I have more of a problem with a person that just decides to not pay attention at all.
Right.
But I am also a person that believes in, if you're gonna vote, educate yourself.
Yep.
Don't just go in there and guess or go in there and vote willy-nilly just because you want to. Actually educate yourself on where people stand
and where they stand on the things you care about.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
I understand. I will always be. Everyone's judgy. That is just what we do. It's like when you hear who somebody voted for, my initial thought is going to be all of the bad things that would cause people to vote for that candidate. Either way. Because there are a lot of, in this election, the the initial thought when it comes to people voting for Trump is like really bad things, you know,
Hmm.
racists, homophobes. And you actually have to talk to people because that's not actually it. Now, it is it a lot of the time because that
Hmm.
is where those people are voting. That is where they're voting. And
Right.
so but I don't think it's fair to not have conversations with people. And saying that's probably going to get me in trouble on the internet, but I feel like the conversation is important. Um,
Right.
but I don't know. It's also one of those things where I understand, you know, I understand the people who, as much as I want to say, you know, so the two-party system sucks. It's bad
Hmm.
because there will never be somebody that's not a Republican or a Democrat that wins. There just won't be.
Right.
So, as much as I want to say wasting your vote on somebody else, you know, a third party candidate, as much as I want to hate on that, I also entirely understand when you look at both candidates going, man, they both aren't that great.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. Yeah, we
and
got millions and millions of people in this country, and this is the best we could come up with.
I hate the picking the lesser of two evils idea, but I don't know. To me, and I don't care whether it's what he meant or not, the two things he has said that made it so I had to vote the way I did is a couple months ago when he straight up said, if you vote me in, this is the last time you'll ever have to vote. I'm sorry. Huh? I don't care if that's what he meant or not. That's what he said, and he never corrected it. That's on you.
Right.
I'm done with this. Well, we need to start thinking about what he actually means, not what he says. No, I'm taking you at your word. Your word is all I got.
Hmm.
And if your word is bad, then you're bad. And if you want to fix that, speak articulately. Think. Don't just blab out the first thing in your mind because you're dumb. Like,
Hmm.
if that's not what you mean, don't say it. And then the whole interview he did where he was talking about wanting to. I know he said the radicals, but to him, everyone who disagrees with him is radical. Putting them in
Yep.
camps. I'm sorry, I don't want to be put in a camp. That doesn't sound cool to me. Because knowing his definition of the radical left, he'd think I was. Because I disagree with him basically everywhere. That and he like
Right.
doesn't understand basic economics. I'm gonna put a 2,000% tariff on stuff coming out of China. That only hurts the American people. Like actually, you dumb motherfucker. You learned this in high school. Well, he didn't because he didn't go or pay attention.
Right.
You don't have to when you got daddy's money. But like,
Yeah.
shit, dude. That's enough for me. Taking out all of the other things. And I'm not saying she's great. It's just did you see Harrison Ford's endorsement of her?
Yeah.
That's
I did.
kind of my feelings on it.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah. See, my
and
problem.
I'm not voting one way or the other because of a celebrity. That's really goofy. But you got to know what you want. But it
Right.
is always interesting to hear the opinions of other people.
Hmm.
But
Well,
go ahead.
I will say that the person I was gonna vote for, um, dropped out
Right.
basically
Mm-hmm.
and endorsed a certain person.
Yep.
So it kind of limited my options, and
Mm-hmm. And I get it.
you know,
And I also get the. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm sorry. But I get the like voting based on truly just where we're from. And I'm not saying you did. I just the things that matter in small towns and rural areas are very different. Even though
yeah,
I'm also from here, but like
uh-huh,
I I still
right.
brain differently and that's okay. But sorry, please go ahead. I didn't mean to
Well,
jump in.
I get it. I didn't. it was kind of like I already had my mind made up on third party, and
Yeah.
then you know,
And then there was only one third party option on the ballot here,
yeah,
which is the one I've never heard of.
yeah.
It's
So I
like,
was like,
who
well,
are you?
but my thing is it's weird because this is the first time in history where we get to see what both parties has done. You know, I know Harris is only a VP,
I say that's not
but
entirely fair because she's in control of literally nothing.
right, right. But the thing about it is when she was asked, you know, what would you have done differently with the Biden term or whatever? What would you have
She
done
actually had a
differently if
lot of
you were
things
in
to
his?
say.
No, not the one
Yes,
I said.
she.
She literally said, I really can't think. I
Well,
can't
no,
think of anything that I would have done differently.
I think the one you saw was literally just her saying, "There's quite a few things. I'm not going to." Her interview, she said she wasn't going to say them because she doesn't want to disparage the current president. Which, like, fair enough. I hate it, but fair enough. I still stand by for her. Everybody talked about Trump being on Joe Rogan, and like you
Mhm.
need to go listen to that. For me,
I did.
it's a little late now, but for me, the answer with if you wanted to hear what Kamala was more about, Kamala names, um, was the Shannon Sharp interview
Mhm.
where she was actually sat down and actually speaking, and it wasn't just a cut edited mess. Sure, it's not Joe Rogan's podcast where he won't let you cut out anything, but
Mhm.
I also don't think that's entirely fair. Because,
Right.
but um, to either person, I think you should be able to, when you say something you don't mean or whatever, you should be allowed to correct it.
Right.
Because a lot of times you can speak and it can be wrong. The issue is if you
Right.
don't want to correct it or you don't care enough to, that's a problem.
Right.
If it's not what you mean, you don't want that to be out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just, for our area and for our part of the country, you know, we've already had a term of Trump, and economically did not hurt our area or did not seem to hurt the country.
Not entirely fair. And the major thing that I think is very important is actually to look at the data. Trump was handed an amazing economy by Obama, and it only went down during his presidency. It still never got as bad as it is now, but it only ever went down.
That's
That is
not completely
accurate.
true.
No, it is. It is, though. Like, just plain and simple, it is by every metric, except for I don't like Obama, so it's not. Or I like Trump, so it's not.
No,
By
I do
the
agree that he was
statistics.
handed a good economy, and I do agree that it didn't grow as exponentially as it was
And
under Obama, but it was still growing. And then
Biden
when it
also
hit
got
COVID,
handed,
it dropped.
I was going to say, and Biden got handed a shit economy because of COVID,
Right.
and we're pretending
Right.
all of it is his fault. Now, I'm not saying he handled everything great, but we're
Yeah.
pretending there's no deeper level of context here that matters. The
Right.
economy sucks now. It was going to, if Trump had gotten reelected, the economy would have stayed exactly the same because everything had to go have big problems because of
Right.
how fucked up the world was. The problems
And
were going to be there no matter what.
that's what I'm getting at is I don't think it's necessarily fair to blame Trump, but it's not fair to blame
Right.
Biden either. Nobody's really to blame. It was a pandemic.
Right.
There's not a ton you can do
You know
when
who's
it
to
comes to
blame?
a pandemic.
All the people who didn't pay attention to the pandemic. I still stand by. Had we initially, like, shut the world down like we wanted to, because nobody actually did it, is the big issue. People just
Right.
kept doing everything. Had we shut the world down for like a month, it basically would have been not over, but it would have been what it is now, where it's like not as big of a deal. But instead, we just kept living life and let it get bad and then tried to fix it. and it's really tough to put out an ethanol fire.
Right. Yeah.
It would have been a lot faster to put out the small fire before it blossomed. But I mean, I guess hindsight's always 2020, even though I was saying this at the time. But
right. Yeah.
I do want to move away from talking politics, though, because 30 minutes was enough if you count the beginning portion.
Right. Right.
To talking about, I don't know. Last week was weird. Thursday was a weird day. Halloween. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, not you, but I'm going to blame you. You got me in trouble. So you remember how I was talking about the chick at the tattoo parlor who I was supposed to be talking to? I don't know if she much likes me anymore after I went there with a different chick on Halloween.
Well, I mean, did you explain the situation?
I didn't get to talk to her. She was busy giving other people tattoos. So, the other people there know, because Aspen talked to my regular tattoo artist while I was getting a tattoo from Marco. Well, when we got there, let's lay this all out. So, okay, here's what happened was before all of this. So, I remember I talked about it on the podcast where I was trying to convince you to come with me to the Halloween party. Yep. And then I told you I was going to text Aspen to convince you. Well, I did. And then she failed to convince you, I guess.
Yeah.
Which
I just could not go.
I found really goofy since you were still home when we got back. You could have.
Well,
you had to do laundry, even though she got upset.
Well, that's not what
that.
I was doing initially. Initially, what I was doing is I was getting everything prepared for hunting, and then I was going to go up there right away. But by the time I got all the shit done at my parents' place and got my stuff ready for hunting, it was, already late, and you guys had finished up.
Yeah, we were already on the way back.
I might as well. I was like, I might as well go home and do laundry and stay and say hi. Since she and I hadn't seen each other in a few weeks. So
yeah. So Thursday, not morning, but Thursday at around 1, I woke up and had a text from Aspen that was just like, he's not going to go, but I would still like to. And I was like, okay. And then I immediately texted him. I'm like, this cool? This feels weird. And it did the entire day. Because I think previously to this, I had spoken less than 100 words to your girlfriend, and now I'm hanging out with her for a day. It was weird.
See, I was like, well, this could be a good bonding experience to see if they are going to literally hate each other.
So that's the question. Does she hate me?
Well, she didn't say nothing, so...
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, I can tell you from experience, if she doesn't like you, she will voice her opinion to me. Trust me, I know every single person in this world she does not like.
Oh, I guess that works. But so we drove down there. Got kind of there. I needed to go look for a costume because I didn't want to wear one I'd already worn. Mm-hmm. So I drove over by the tattoo shop to drop her off. They had blocked off all of the main street downtown to let kids go trick or treat at all the businesses. Mm-hmm. Which sucked. So I let her out, and I was stuck at this stop sign for 25 minutes because these people just kept crossing the road and nobody would let me go.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. Finally, some older lady stopped everybody. I'm like, thank you. That was fucked. So I left, go get a costume, come back. She's already getting her tattoo done. And it was basically she was done by the time I got to get mine started.
Yep.
Really unfortunate. But I went back, talked to her and my tattoo artist for a bit while Marco was drawing mine up. Then I went and talked with Marco as we were getting the tattoo done. And I explained to him and my tattoo artist, they're like, so who is that? And I'm like, my best friend's girlfriend. He was supposed to come too, but he's a cunt, so he didn't. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. She just wanted a tattoo, and I was already going. So here we
Right.
are.
That's my thing. I thought for sure when I said I wasn't going to be able to go, she was going to be like, "Oh, well, that's okay. I'll stay home too." And she was like, "No, fuck you. I'm going to get a tattoo." And I'm like,
All right then.
"All right, I guess yeah, I guess you better get a hold of Chandler because I am not, I cannot go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been up there until 3 o'clock in the morning if I would have waited till after,
Yeah.
you know."
Yeah.
So it kind of shocked me because she usually doesn't like to go do anything unless I'm there,
Right.
you know? But she really wanted that tattoo. And she was already talking to me before you even mentioned anything. The fact that she wanted to go get another tattoo. And it was just a perfect opportunity for her to go get one for cheap, you know?
Yeah. And now she knows a place where she can go for good tattoos. So.
Right. And the funny part is because she's like, "Well, are you okay with that? Are you comfortable with me going?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I have no problem whatsoever." Because
That was my same text to you. Was like, "Are you cool with that?" Because I don't know. It's weird in my brain.
Right. Right. But this is the thing. If you can't allow like a girlfriend to go with a good friend of yours for fear of something happening, then that friend is not really your friend. Like, you don't have as good of a relationship with that person as you thought you did. You know, not only do you not trust your girlfriend, but you're not trusting your supposed really good friend.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And,
yeah.
And
no, it's just more of the thing you always. I don't know. People are weird.
And I don't mean like our group. Code,
right. It's like, I don't know, man. But that's why it's just like, it's not going to be no, that's weird. It's just a text you like, you sure you're good? Cool.
Right. It's not a violation of bro code if you get blessings.
Right. It's like, and then, so got our tattoos done. Took a little while longer than expected. Marco is really good at what he does, but he is much slower than her, which did not help. That mine was the later one and it was the slower one. That did not help the time.
Right.
So then we left there, and part of me thought I freaked Aspen out a little bit, so I had to park out behind the shop, and I totally forgot because I always park out front. So we walked out front, and I went, "Oh fuck!" I parked out back, and downtown, you know how, like, behind a lot of the buildings, you have the alley, and then there'll be a parking lot in just behind a building.
Yep.
So we're like walking down, and instead of going all the way down and around to the parking lot, we like get to the alley, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, duck in there." And I was like, "Oh god, that sounds so weird." I was like, "No, my car's right there." My brain just like says things, and I was like, "Man, that sounds way worse."
Right.
Once it's out loud.
She's scared of the dark too. So.
Right. But luckily there were streetlights in the alley because there's doors to the businesses, so that's good. But I was like, man, that really did seem really weird. And then I was like, I want to go get food. I was like, where do you want to go? And she's like, let's go get Chinese because he always goes without me. And I'm like, all right, sick. Then she got mad at me because I wouldn't let her pay for food. They brought us only one ticket, and she was going to pay for my food. And I'm like, no, can't let that happen.
Yeah, she's damn near got more money than I do, so.
I know. But.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I was just glad
food.
She got her tattoo, and she seemed like she had a good time, so.
Yeah, I thought so. And then came back, and as we were walking up to your house, I was like, man, I hope he's not like in there naked just waiting for you. And she's like, I thought about that too and was going to text him, but I thought this would be funnier. I'm like, oh, fuck.
No, I expected you to come in, so.
I was like, this is the first time I've been here, or like been down to your place, so I want to go see it.
Right. You're just lucky you got there a little later than you did because I was still in the tub, so. And I'm sitting there in the tub because my tub's like, you can see through the whole house.
Huge.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting there in the tub, and I'm like, I probably should have closed my bedroom door just in case they got here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be like, "What's up, bro?"
What's up, dude? And then I
Yeah,
walked in and you're shirtless. I'm like, ah, he was naked.
I was, but I was like, "I'll put some shorts on. I don't want to, traumatize the poor geek."
That would have been awful, but yeah, that was a time. That was a time. It was an interesting day, but I don't know. Well, so the reason I said it might have caused problems was like for the next like 2 days, I just never got a reply. It was very strange.
Oh, from me or?
This other person. No, we just haven't
Oh,
talked since then, which was also weird.
oh,
I was like, oh God,
oh.
am I hated now? What did I do? I was trying to think. I'm like, what did I do? We weirdly talked about both of our family lives a lot and how fucked up they are.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was fun.
childhood trauma is always good.
Yeah.
A good bonding method, you know.
Right? Good times.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Then I was thinking, I asked her, I was like, so when do you move down here? And she said, and I'm like, all right, I got to remember to plan a vacation for right around there so I don't have to help you move. She's like, no, I kind of plan to just move all my stuff like a little bit at a time until then. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Well, that's what I told her. Is like just eventually get everything out of your storage unit and move it down here, and then you can not pay for the storage unit anymore.
Yeah.
And then all you have left is just your big stuff that's in the house, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
really, clothes. So, well, getting a phone call,
Oh my God. Who?
Cody.
Oh.
I'll just.
Uh,
I'm supposed to go see him to come up with a plan for this weekend.
oh, hunting again?
Yeah,
Are you ever going to
yeah,
give yourself a weekend off?
dude.
I do stand with Aspen on this. They're adults. They know where to go. They know what to do.
Well, they're gonna have to next weekend
What's happening next
because
weekend?
I'm going down to the girlfriend's because she's got a deer tag that Nebraska's got some weird laws where it's like all of Nebraska. It's like a statewide tag for whitetail buck,
Nice.
but you only have like a short amount of time to try and get it.
Sure.
So, and she really needed me to come down there and help her because she really doesn't know what she's doing when it comes to cleaning an animal, and she wants
That's
me
fair.
to show her how. So,
We talked about you quite a bit and this kind of situation, and we talked about some of the things. I'm not going to say it on here, but the things me and you and our families had to do in the past and why this is so important to you. It's because your brain's still hardwired, like you don't have food.
right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not it, dude. It's chill.
I know it,
But
but it's also like it's not just like it's exhausting, yes, but also it's like a mental break from from the rest of the world being out there
except it
and
seems like it's
hunting.
not because you're more stressed out dealing with hunting than you are going to work.
The
Well,
reason
okay,
why I'm
these hunting trips. When you're
right,
going hunting, it's different. This is just going and being someone's guide for
yeah.
nothing.
Well,
And
that's my thing. Is it wouldn't be quite as stressful for me, other than the fact that I really want Cody to get an elk because he's been putting in for this tag for like 15 plus years,
right.
and he finally drew. And he's seen all the success that I've had in the past where we're hunting, and we have just not seen anything.
Yeah.
We know they've been there, but it's like they're nocturnal, or we just have not gotten lucky and ran into them.
Yeah.
And then I got a general tag, went a couple miles from the house and shot one, and then it's just I feel really bad because I can see him getting discouraged, and I really really want him. If his brother doesn't get one, I'm not gonna be as upset about that because it's only his second time putting in,
Right.
and he drew. So but I really, if I can just get Cody an elk, then I'll be happy, and won't be nearly as stressed out as I am, you know.
Right. But also, one of these Sundays soon-ish, I am going to be forcing you to miss IRL D&D. Because
Why?
we're going to finish Game of Thrones.
Oh,
And
okay.
the day I decide to do that, you are going to skip the IRL one and be there.
Okay.
So that we can be done. And then soon, are you ready to... I don't remember your dwarf's name.
Oh,
In Heroes game.
Oh, what the
Hopefully
hell?
that doesn't stay on Sundays, but it might. And
I think
it'll be our time soon.
Isn't it like Thren or something?
It is. Yes, I think it is Thren. But
yeah.
I think so this coming Sunday, we're finishing. So remember, Eero's plan was to get our group levels 1 to 5.
Uh-huh.
We're now level 6, but whatever. And then he wants this group to get 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then our group's coming back to go 6 to 10. The other group's going 6 to 10, and then we're combining.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Sunday is the end of the other group. So it's almost time for Thren's group again.
Oh, okay.
Thren and Astraeus have things to do.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if Thren and Astraeus are going to like these dudes in this other group.
Really?
Oh. Yeah.
I may be a dwarf, but he doesn't put up with a ton of shit.
He does from Astraeus for whatever reason.
Well.
But Astraeus is terrifying.
That's not necessarily why he lets you do it. It's just he gets where Astraeus is coming from.
Astraeus is just a cunt. Because he lost his memory, he has no, like, lived experience, and his lived experience so far is that he's a badass. So he just doesn't give a fuck. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're just some guy. Astraeus is gonna get humbled by somebody at some point, and it's gonna be tough.
Right.
Or he won't, though, is the other option.
Yeah.
It might just never happen.
Yeah,
so Caleb bought the new book, the new 2024 rule book, so we can change stuff now. I'm upset. They fixed monks.
They did.
And they murdered rogues. The assassin's useless now.
They absolutely did.
Assassinate only gives you a little bit of extra damage. It's not an immediate crit, which isn't that bad in regular D&D, because a crit just doubles your damage, which, like, is nice, but it's not that good. In our games, we do the percentile rolls, and I lose that. Like, that sucks, bro.
Right.
They fixed my boy, and then they murdered my other boy. Oh, it's so tough.
My boy. No, my boy.
No, my boy. Oh, dude. But, yeah. D&D is fun. Anthony's having a great time with D&D, and I'm really happy.
Well, that's good.
And then, we've been cooking the plan for the end of Game of Thrones. I've been scheming.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Many a scheme.
Is it going to be... it's going to be a full day.
I don't know if it'll be a full day. I don't know if it'll take that long.
Okay. What time are we planning on doing these?
I don't know. For that one, it's going to just be the last one. So I'll send out a message once. So, like, this Sunday, I know we're doing Heroes game, so it's not this week. Next week, you're not going to be around, so, because you're going to be up there. So,
and you're probably going to be mad at me because Sundays, I am also part of a volleyball league now.
Why? I'm finally almost done. Immediately decides to do more because he's a cunt.
Oh, by the way, but the volleyball games on Mondays are done. We lost, so we're out.
Good.
So anyway, we can go back to Monday podcast as scheduled.
That part helps.
Yes. But the good thing is Sunday volleyball games are always usually like early afternoon. You know, right. So I can be back in time for any kind of D&D that we do. So.
Okay.
it shouldn't impede too much. If I'm a little late, it's not a big deal, but
And hopefully
you
when
know,
our other group starts back up, we can switch to Friday nights, but I'm not sure. That's more of an
right,
Eero need than, because that way you could still do the Sunday game, but
right.
the IRL one. But
Uh-huh.
and then
Yeah.
right now I don't have anything else planned because I think I talked to you about this a bit and I've said it a few times. I don't think I'm meant to DM. Like I am good at telling a story,
Yeah.
but I realize that I want to control the story too much,
Hmm.
and that doesn't make a good DM.
Yeah.
And
I've always thought about it,
right.
but
And
I that's my concern about myself too, because I feel like
I was going to
would
say
I
you
be
need to
able
try it.
to? Right. And I've
But,
always I keep thinking about it, but it's like, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. So I have to have a lot of like, I have to have the time in the first place in order to
yeah.
make it a good experience. Because I'd hate to do this and then people be like, oh man, I'm not enjoying this.
Right.
Um,
Well, I mean,
but
shit, that's why Caleb, when he runs his, wants like me and Eero. I think he wants you. I think he wants Miller, just so he can get people who've played it done. And then he's like, when we're done, I want you to all tear me apart. Everything
right,
I did wrong or everything I should
constructive
improve.
criticism.
And he's like,
Yeah,
he looked at me and he's like, I specifically want you because I know you're not afraid to just tell me. Like, no, this fucking sucked. Try this or whatever.
right. And my thing is every DM has their own little style.
Yep.
They all have their own things to let people get away with and not get away with,
Yep.
And that's the thing. I've with my little amount of time that I've been playing D&D and stuff like that, I've experienced a lot of different play styles and
Yep.
different types of DMs, and you know, and I, so far I've not really met one that I really disliked.
Right.
There's some that are like, I don't know if I really agree with this, but
Right.
it's they're the DM. That's the thing about D&D is it's they have the guidelines, but that's just guidelines.
Right. Like
you know,
Miller and Eero, and I think me to an extent, let people get away with a lot more shit than like the book says. But it's like,
right,
man, it would be kind of cool. So do it. It's
right.
my favorite line from Critical Role stuff with Matt Mercer, and Eero uses it a lot now. It's just
Right.
you can certainly try.
Right.
Why not?
Well, and my thing is that if I was a DM, if they asked to do something that's a little bit like above and beyond and out of their boundaries, if it's going to add actual constructive flavor to the
Yeah.
story or to the campaign,
Yeah.
then sure, I'll let you get away with it. But if it's something that's like going to be detrimental to the group
Right.
itself, then I'm probably going to have a problem with it. My thing is, there's one guy that we play with in the IRL group that I play with. I almost half-ass wish you were there sometimes, because the things this guy does sometimes, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, he's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but he just does some out-of-pocket stuff that just
So
like, whoa.
some of the goofy stuff that Miller lets me get away with. My character has Dimension Door. Miller kind of lets mine be overpowered in the fakest way possible. Like, not that it can do anything extra when I'm actually using it, but for roleplay purposes, I'm able to just open it into like this store in one of the big cities and just grab popcorn randomly because I did it as a joke. And he's like, sure, I'll just let you do that whenever. So it's like a free use of this spell that's just to let my character be a fucking idiot.
Right.
And it's really funny. And it's like, see, that's the type of stuff. It's like, who does that hurt?
Well, it's not really benefiting you or anybody else. Or, like, it's just there. It's just a cinematic.
It's goofy ass flavor.
It's thematic,
right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's the type of stuff that's fun. or the like, how does your spell work, and entirely changing the way it looks. Like it operates the same, but just change. Like my character is a shadow sorcerer. A fireball shouldn't be a fireball.
Right.
It should be like a shadow that is exploding and still operating exactly like fire. It just looks different. And I don't like that there are certain people who won't let you flavor it that way.
Right.
It's like that's just flavor to make it look cooler and feel cooler and feel more custom. Not every sorcerer should feel the same. They should operate differently. But man, D&D's fun. All right, do you guys still have that guy who thinks the Force is real?
No.
I know, you never met him. He was also never in that group, but god damn.
No. He's got a plain Jane name. His name is Ryan.
Oh, I was going to say, was it the guy who's new that I've played with once?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's not a bad guy or anything, but he just, some people
weirdo.
are very...
Yeah. Well, not like weirdo in like the way I refer to the other guy. Just to like, what are you doing?
He is just the strangest person when it comes to, like, so for example, Dan came back.
Yeah.
And he's been, here for the last couple sessions now. And Dan is a rogue, or not a rogue, he's a ranger or something like that. And he can send one of his few spells that he has, he can send message. So he can send a message to people, and it's like people hear it in their head.
Yep.
And they've been so actually it's kind of funny. They're kind of fun because Heath actually bought these like cubes.
Yeah.
They're like mystery boxes or whatever, and there's like certain ways they open. And so that, you have to try and figure out how to open them. Like he knows how they're supposed to open, but we don't. So we're like, I messed around for one for a little while, couldn't figure it out. So I set it down for a little bit. There's two of them. And he basically makes you do rolls or whatever to open them up or whatever. Well, Ryan's character is a barbarian female, and her name's Skyla, which is funny.
Weird you out a little bit, does it?
Yeah. But anyway, barbarian, not extremely intelligent. I am a wizard, so intelligence is thing. And he couldn't get this box open, and all of a sudden, we're out in the middle of the woods or whatever, and we're headed to this cave, but we're getting some downtime, and he tries to open the box, and whenever he fails, the box like locks closed.
Yeah.
And you have to wait 24 hours before you can try and open it again. But anyway, he starts getting this message, he starts hearing this voice in his head. And this is the first night that Dan came back. Yeah. So we were trying to introduce his character. Well, he gets this message in his head, and it's like, what do you seek, or what are you doing in my woods, or something like that, is the message that he gets. And he thinks, Ryan being Ryan, thinks that it's coming from the box.
Right.
So he's like talking to this box. Well, Alex and I, and, we're just sitting there, because we're all supposedly around a campfire or whatever. And we're just sitting there. And, we didn't hear the voice. Only Ryan did. So now you got Ryan talking to a box like it's a person. And we're like looking at each other like, what the fuck, confused as a character would be in that situation. And then Ryan gets another voice in his head that says, you must leave an offering in order to have safe travels through the woods. Or something like that. And for whatever reason, Ryan's like, I cut off my pinky. and as an offering,
Okay.
and everybody was like, "What?" He's like, "Yep, I cut off my pinky as an offering to the woods," and we're all like, "You do realize that this is going to have a permanent effect on one of your stats, right?" And he, "Well, I'm just playing my character. You don't understand my backstory." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but like," so it's just out of pocket stuff like that. You know, I get he's a barbarian and stuff like that, but who thinks of cutting their finger off in that situation? A box talks to you, and you know, leave an offering, and the whole time it was just Dan's character sending the message to him.
Yeah.
And Dan's like, "I would have taken like a copper piece, or you know,
Yeah.
but a finger."
Yeah, man, a finger.
It, it was funny. I can't remember some of the other stuff he's done, but it was just like, well, and he really likes to like go off on his own by himself too. You know, that's kind of his thing. He just likes to go off and do his own thing.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times he ends up, you know, there's a reason why he's had more characters die than anybody else in our group, and it's because he goes off and gets attacked by a fucking dragon or something, or there'll be a dragon and he goes and fights it by himself. You know, I'm level 2 character. I'm gonna go fight a, you know, freaking adult dragon by myself.
I could take him.
Yeah, that's pretty much his mentality, and most of the time, he can't take him. But I don't know. All in all, it's been pretty fun, and the mystery boxes I've actually been able to like actually figure out. So they're like, you know, because basically Heath was expecting us to not be able to figure them out, and that we would have to roll for them, and then he would give us like hints on how to open them. And the one box, I think Alex and Dan were able to figure out, and the other box that they couldn't figure out, I fiddled with it for a second, and I got distracted, and I picked it back up, and then I figured it out.
Yeah.
So he's like, "God damn it, you weren't supposed to figure that out yet."
That's funny.
But anyway, because technically Ryan's character found it. I let him try, and I said, "Well, whenever you would, Theodore's a very, well-spoken person and has spent most of his life in a library, and so he's like, well, whenever you would like some assistance, I would be more than happy to open that box for you." He's like overly confident in his intelligence, and so eventually Ryan gave up on it, and I opened the box for him, and I ended up, because it ended up being a magical thing. I ended up getting the magical effect of 2,000 experience points.
Yeah.
So Ryan was a little upset about that, and then he couldn't get the other box open, and eventually had me open that one too. But I made sure that whatever was inside the box went to him this time instead of to me.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at polling stuff because I got intrigued.
Oh shit!
Just because some stuff's being reported. I'm sure they'll start calling some states because they did it last time because they're stupid. I remember states, because this is why people thought it was rigged, because they're stupid. Because they went to bed with like, I can't remember specific states, so excuse me. But it would be like, oh, Wisconsin was leaning Trump. So they called it for Trump and people went to bed, even though like 48% of the vote was in. And then people woke up and, well, what changed? It's like, I don't know. The other half of the votes came in, you weirdo. Like right now.
I will say that there was a strange precedence when it came to that. Not saying that there was any voter fraud or anything like that, but this is the first time that we've had an election where there was a pandemic.
Right. Well, it was the mail-in votes, and people forgot that there is rules based around the mail-in ballots that states have, where they are counted last.
Yeah.
And the people who were more likely to mail in votes were Democrats. We knew that.
Right.
So
Right.
why was there this surge? Because if you paid any attention at all, you knew there was gonna be. It was
Right.
always
Well,
gonna come late.
and there was, well, and the difference was usually there, just for reference, there's 500,000 total mail-in early votes or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, during the pandemic, there was like 1.7 million in
Right.
like the state of Pennsylvania alone.
It's like, why the
And
hell?
so-
It's because nobody wanted to go outside.
Right. Yeah. Everybody was
What
scared.
scares me is like these places where there was this place in Pennsylvania currently that has an expected 4-hour line, but the polls close in 3 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
so if you're still in line, do you not get to vote? How does that work?
Right.
That's shitty. No, the other thing I'm noticing is Texas is way closer than I actually thought it was going to be, at least right now. That could change, it could not, but
I was about to say it did this last election too, where it looked like it was gonna flip.
I
and then
don't think it.
didn't.
But it also could.
It could, but not likely. Let's just say.
I think of all of the places they talked about, like, okay, that's not true. The truly red state that is most likely to flip is Iowa. Like, actually. All of the exit polls
Right.
showed it flip. Which, normally those exit polls are fairly close. Like, and
Right.
I understand why, for a lot of reasons, specifically in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, of the other ones, I feel like Texas would be the
Mm-hmm.
other one that could. Like, a lot of people said Florida, and I just don't think so.
Right.
But I don't know. A lot of states haven't reported yet, so we'll see.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
What are the odds when? So I kind of want to stay live until it updates, because Wyoming's first report is supposed to come in at about 7 p.m. and it's about 7
Oh.
p.m. So I kind of want to stay recording just because I want to see. Because I just want to say, what are the odds it's not like 90-10 at first report or higher
Right.
for the one?
Usually, Wyoming's about 70% when it's all said and done.
When it's all said and done, I just mean first report, because
Right.
what do you? Where's your over under set? What are you doing? Give me your odds.
I'm gonna say probably like 80-20.
You think 80-20 at first
And
report?
at first report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which
It may
isn't
be
going to be a
lot
ton of
more.
votes,
That,
but
that's high end.
yeah.
That's a high end, but majority of people in Wyoming are Republican. That's just
And
a known fact.
Unfortunately for a lot of the world,
And
or not a lot of the world, a lot of this country, a lot of people just vote based on whether there's an R or a D next to the name.
right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
It
It's
just
7.
saddens me because it didn't matter who the hell I voted for. I don't feel good about it.
Right.
You
That's
know?
fair.
It
I
just-
can
it
feel
was just-
slightly better about it, and it's just because the things that bug me the most, one side was much better at. So,
Mhm.
as much as I still
Right.
don't like that side that much, it's like the things that to me are truly important, one side was less psycho.
Right.
Wow. That's a lot of votes for that guy still.
I know, right?
Robert Kennedy, even
Yeah,
though
it's
he's ugh.
He's technically not even
Nope, he dropped out.
running.
Yeah. Jill
But
Stein's such a
legally,
weirdo, but she's
because-
yeah. A lot of places he couldn't get taken off the ballot, and a lot of places
Yeah.
he chose not to, in hopes that it would take votes away
Right.
from the other one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I do know that I think, Trump's going to get a boom from his endorsement
maybe
because there was
yeah.
a lot of people that did like him, but yeah.
Nebraska's
I think
weird.
him,
Why is it showing? Why is there not the dot that normally is there?
because
Because
as of
technically
right
Nebraska
now-
has 2 districts, But they're not showing
Right.
any votes either way. They're just saying it's gone red, but they're not reporting votes, which is weird.
Right. Well, I think that's because it's a state as a whole right now is red,
Right.
but there's no
Ugh, the
report
number's not
on
out for
that
Wyoming,
district yet.
but hey, it's leaning red. Shocker.
Yeah. Right. So that means the number should pop in. Especially
Shortly.
everything that's electronic should.
Yep. That's all I'm waiting and looking at. Wow. Right this very second on this counter. Whoa. That's wild. So only like one county's in for New Mexico, apparently. But
Yeah.
it's being decided by one vote at this very moment.
Oh.
And the second candidate, at least, again, in this one county in a total of like 1,200 votes. So, not a sample size that's real. But Trump has it by one vote over Chase Oliver, 656 to 655. That's wild.
Wow. Yeah, early
Oh, early is
election
so
results
fun.
can be wild.
Like, oh, man, one?
Yeah.
How does that work? Oh, that's the other part of Nebraska, right? Because the weird flipped, it gets its own electoral thing, is their population center, right?
Yeah.
Am I right about that? I'm trying to double check.
Wait. Repeat what you just said.
In Nebraska, because they have the two
Yep.
separate like districts basically, because the one part
Yeah.
of Nebraska can
Yeah.
vote the opposite. That is in their big like city. That's their population dense area, right? Okay,
Omaha.
I was
basically,
double
yeah.
checking because one person has 40,000 more votes than the other, but is somehow losing. So that has to be because they're winning that area, right? And not the entire state.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure because I didn't actually. Nebraska's really weird and really stupid. So
Yeah. So here's a crazy thing. My brother has been in Laramie in the hospital for
what the fuck? Why?
three nights now, 2 nights.
Why?
He got really sick, and
While you
they
were there
think
on
his
Saturday, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yep, and they were thinking his pancreas is flaring up again, which it is, and because like his what do they call it, lipase or whatever in his blood was at like 2,800, which is extremely high. No wonder he was sick. But now they're wondering what the hell's causing him to get so sick. Well, the town that they live in just sent out a report that there's dangerous amounts of lead in their water, in the town water,
In
and
L or T?
L, where
Oof.
they live. The town they
I
live in.
couldn't. In my head, I heard not the town they live, but the
Right.
town they used to live. So my brain thought the other one.
So now they're wondering if maybe he has lead poisoning.
Huh.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Their
So
water used to be so
they're
good.
sending so they're sending blood samples to Kansas right now to see if he has some sort of lead poisoning that's attacking his body.
Huh. Is really?
Yeah.
No, so sorry, I was looking at a race because like Bernie just won what is that, Vermont again? And the reason I said really is because they're trying to be weird on this race and say that the Democrats lost a seat in the Senate by Bernie winning because he's technically, as always, running as an independent. It's like, I don't think they lost a seat, though. I think this is exactly the same.
Yeah.
At least for now. but
Mm-hmm.
very strange. Very strange. I dislike election day. You know?
Right now it's looking good for Kamala. Really.
Honestly, yeah. Everything being this
'Cause-
close without all of the other stuff being in yet does look good.
Right. Because I mean, if Trump doesn't get Pennsylvania, he's fucked.
And right now, it's not
Yeah,
even particularly
Kamala.
close.
Yeah.
And then
Now that could be
again,
because I
there's
think
a lot of
Pennsylvania
votes.
is one of the states.
They're only 17% reported, so there's
Right.
still a lot
But
of.
that's also a state where they can. I think that's one of the states where they can actually count the early vote-in
Mm,
ballots, and
that's fair.
so I think that might be the
I can't remember,
big.
but it's
so
possible.
That, the Republicans could close that.
It could.
Close
Ugh.
that. But I don't know.
Why does some of them? What the fuck? That's really dumb. Why? What the fuck? That doesn't make sense. So I'm looking. That's really funny. I get it, but I hate it. Because they're doing that thing. Like New York, it's only 16% reported, but they've already called it. Which, like, isn't a definitive answer. Because, like, they can call it and be wrong because it's just a news organization calling it. And they're probably right, but it is really weird. It's like, dude, it's not even 50% there yet. That's not real. My favorite is Wyoming. 0% reported. Called it for Donald Trump.
Right? That's dumb.
It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, Florida's 93% reported. I guess Florida's basically done.
Yeah, I think Florida's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think that one can be called.
Well, it's 93% done. There's not enough votes coming in still to sway that one.
Right.
The fact that now at about 60% reported Texas is still that close is interesting. I don't think she's going to make up enough ground, but it's still way closer than you'd expect.
Unless they still have the early votes or whatever they have to count in the end, then
Which
she could make up ground
they could be. But... And I definitely know in places like that or in places like Wyoming, a lot of the people who would vote for her probably did do early voting or mail-in just so they didn't have to deal with people because people are psychos on both sides. But, like, do you want to be the person in Texas who did one thing and not the other? We're going to use this, though, as the spot to wrap because I don't want to sit here for that much longer. So, without further ado, Wonder's now distracted with the phone, but that's okay because that's it for this week's episode. Sorry it was very political, but it's election day. What is it not supposed to be? So, without further ado, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.